Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me Kagem. This is the second installment of a series I have on my channel called Glamazon Originals. I really hope that you'll watch all the way until the end. If you love Cartier, you love VCA, this is the video for you. I think you're going to absolutely love it. There's a kind of Game of Thrones drama happening at Cartier and VCA and Richemont in general. I'm going to go through everything that you need to know. I'm also going to talk about how it affects you as a shopper. So please make sure you subscribe to my channel and you hit that bell. Let's get into the video. Okay, you guys, so first of all, before I get into the juicy stuff about Cartier and VCA, most of the sources are coming from this website called Miss Tweed. She's like a French journalist and she calls herself Miss Tweed. She has tons of sources. Her website is basically like a subscription website, but you can read the archives for free. I will post every single article that I have referenced in this video in the description below. You've got to check her out. She's got a lot of tea basically about luxury brands. It's very fascinating stuff. The first thing that is super scandalous and that made Cartier look bonkers is essentially last year, the top dogs at Richemont tried to take away the bonuses for Cartier employees. I mean, oh my God. So essentially, Cartier employees were supposed to be paid. This is like across all of their disciplines, basically. So within Cartier, whether you work for HR, marketing, you work in the factory, you work on site, you were supposed to get a bonus last year. They tried to get rid of the bonus. They tried to blame C19 and people revolted. It was like Mutiny on the Bounty, okay, with Marlon Brando. Okay, people were jumping off the ship like, you need to pay us our bonus. The bonus was due to be paid, I think it was like before June last year. And then there was supposed to be a second tranche of the bonus that was paid in July. So it was a crazy scandal and the employees at Cartier were super upset. Apparently there were employees at this factory at Cartier in Italy. They were extremely upset. People were threatening, I think, even to leave their jobs. They felt really betrayed because they've been working so hard for these houses. Bear in mind, or specifically the House of Cartier, bear in mind that one of the executive committees of Cartier was going to actually get their bonuses increased. So basically, put it like this. The top dogs at Cartier who wear suits, who go to the air-conditioned offices every day, we're going to get their bonuses. But the artisans, the people in the factories making the jewelry or in the ateliers making the jewelry and the watches, were not going to get their bonuses. It was an absolute disgrace. And I'm so glad that these employees stood up for themselves. I know it must have been scary. Maybe they might be frightened that they were going to be fired or lose their jobs. I'm so glad that they stood up for themselves, and they did, and they were successful. And guess what happened? Johann Rupert, who is the controlling shareholder of Richemont, which owns Cartier, he had to step in and he basically fired the HR manager who couldn't get this thing under control. I'm sure it wasn't her fault. She's just following orders, but she got the sack, okay? She got sacked, fired, dismissed, whatever word that you want to use, and the bonuses were reinstated last year. This is one of the first signs that there are cracks in the veneer of Cartier and Richemont in general. I don't know if this affected VCA and employees at VCA. She only talks about this in terms of Cartier. I think that this just shows that you're incredibly tone deaf. I mean, you're selling, you know, I was looking at one of the Justin Cleef bracelets on the Selfridges website. One of them, I think, was like, I don't know, like £40,000, £30,000. You're selling £30,000 Justin Cleef bracelets, okay? But you can't say that you're going to honor a bonus agreement that you had agreed to pay and that you have the money to pay. Let's be clear on one thing. Richemont is a very, very, very financially sound holding company. I have read all their proxy reports, their boring financial reports. I've read all of them on their website. They're in fantastic shape. They can ride out C19, okay? Like they're on a boat without looking for Moby Dick. They're fine. They could absolutely afford to pay these bonuses. And I think it's a disgrace that they tried to take the bonuses away from the Cartier employees. And I'm saying this as a CEO of my own small little company. I have my employees. I need to make payroll every month. I think that's a disgrace, especially when you can financially afford it. It's not like anyone got laid off or sacked at Richemont. That did not happen. People carried on with their jobs. business as usual. So how are you going to say that you're going to take away their bonuses? That is wild and crazy. So that was one of the first things. And when I read this, I was like, oh my God. So this woman lost her job. Johann Rupert himself ordered for her to be fired. Another HR person has basically taken that job. This is a big HR job. She's essentially the HR for Cartier and I think for Richemont in general. So I hope this person doesn't make mistakes. And I hope that this year, when they're owed their bonuses, they're paid their bonuses. Make sure you pay people their money, you guys, okay? People want to be paid their money. The second issue that is at hand with Cartier, Van Cleef and Arpels and Richemont is the fact that basically many analysts feel like Richemont is badly managed. Richemont itself is a holding company, as I've said. It owns Cartier, it owns Van Cleef and Arpels, Vacheron Constantin, Jaeger LeCoultre, Panerai, Montblanc, and Dunhill. It also owns Chloe and Alaïa, which was the brand founded by Azzedine Alaïa. So the fact that it has all of these very interesting brands, but VCA and Cartier are the only ones that are really the cash cows. Some of them are losing money, some are not losing money. Some of you might be curious, like, what's the point of having a holding company? A holding company is actually very financially useful because what it means is the brands that are struggling get held up by the brands that are successful. This format, though, doesn't seem to work with Cartier. I've read a lot of analysts, financial analysts who've written their own research papers and posts and articles about why they think it doesn't work. It works at LVMH. LVMH, Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy cuts a check to every single brand within the holding company and says, hey, here's your budget for the year. Here's your money for the year to pay your staff. Go do something, make us some money. That's literally how it's working at LVMH, and it works. Fendi made $1 billion, okay? Fendi is making money for the house. Bulgari is making money for the house. All of these brands, of course, LV itself is making money, and the drinks brands are doing fantastically well. It works at LVMH, but for some reason it's not working at Richemont. I have heard a lot of things as well online in terms of a lot of the watchmakers, like people who buy watches and people who make their own artisanal watches. They say that the watch brands at Richemont are mismanaged and they're not managed properly. There's some that are, given the love and attention they deserve, like Panerai and Vacheron Constantin, and there are others, and Jaeger LeCoultre as well, and there are others that are ignored and not given attention. Well, the bottom line is this: the sort of working structure at Richemont is too bloated. So essentially, according to Ms. Tweed, this is how Richemont works in like a corporate structure. Every single house has its own CEO. And that CEO, according to her, has like their own team of people who they protect. And then they run the house. So it's a very top-down kind of structure. Every CEO reports to Johann Rupert. Johann Rupert does not have a job at Cartier. He is just the controlling, at Richemont. He's just a controlling shareholder of Richemont. Apparently, he's also trying to groom his son, Anton Jr. People don't really believe in him. And people aren't really checking for him or vibing with him, basically, in terms of being one of the top people to run Richemont. I think that's one of the problems as well that a lot of these luxury houses have. Not everyone is suited in a family, to like join the family business. Even if you want them to, just choose the person who is the most beneficial for the job. Just because his son is there and he wants his son to inherit Richemont does not mean that his son is the right person to take Richemont into the future. That's just my personal opinion though. But it is something that I've noticed. It's something that she talked about as well because she broke that story. And it kind of highlights the fact that Richemont does have these problems and the fact that people in the luxury industry are noticing these problems as well. So for example, Francois Pinault, he is the controlling shareholder of Kering, which owns Gucci. He actually approached Johann Rupert this week, according to Ms. Tweed, and he made an offer to merge Kering and Richemont. Now, Johann Rupert said no. He didn't even take the offer to the board, according to Ms. Tweed and according to seekingalpha.com. He didn't even bother taking it to the board. And basically what that means is every holding group and company has a board of directors. He should have taken it to them. He didn't, because obviously he didn't think the offer was good enough. I personally don't think that Kering and Richemont need to merge. I don't think that they need that at all. I think the situation at Richemont is Cartier and VCA are the ones that are bringing money in for the holding company, but these other brands are suffering because they're not getting the attention that they desire, and they're not getting the right talent to run these houses. The CEO of Van Cleef and Arpels is a man called Nicolas Boss. Apparently, he is a visionary. He's the reason why VCA has done so well in the past few years, and we're really seeing the kind of reemergence and renaissance of VCA. In the past 2, 3, 4 years, VCA is everywhere. It's in magazines, it's on the blogs, it's on YouTube, Instagram. Anyone is wearing something from VCA. He's basically the person who's credited for that. Apparently, according to Miss Tweed, his style is very, like, everything comes from him. So he's a more kind of creative CEO, and things come from him, and he's the one who decides what's going on with VCA. That can be good and it can be bad, because then you don't allow people's ideas to flourish. But when things are good, everything's rock and roll, and you're making money for the house. And that is what he's doing. He's making money for the house, and he's making money for the holding company. The CEO of Cartier is someone called Cyril Vigneron. There are lots of rumors about him. There are lots of rumors that he was going to be fired. There are lots of rumors that he was going to be told to be the sort of group CEO for Richemont, and then there would be a vacancy in his job. Now, that is the rumor that's flying around on her website. It's flying around on a lot of other people's websites. The biggest issue is whatever happens, even if he does become the group CEO of Richemont, it will just create a vacancy at Cartier. Cartier is the crown jewel of Richemont. This is not about, oh, but you're biased because you like Cartier. No, this is based on money. Cartier is the financial heart of Richemont. VCA makes a lot of money for Richemont, but Cartier is the one that has consistently driven revenue for the holding company, even though, according to her, many financial analysts say that Cartier should be making way more money. I think that the problem that is happening now with Cartier, and to a lesser extent Van Cleef and Arpels, they just don't create enough collections. I'm sorry, but you're not making enough collections. I know that we complain about LV and we complain about Chanel and that they're constantly churning out collections. I know that, but I think jewelry houses don't need to make collections for every single season, like weather season, like spring, summer, autumn, winter. But what I do think is that jewelry houses have to create collections that are based on moods. So right now, and I'm very disappointed about this, Cartier decided at the top of the year in January not to release any new commercial lines. And by commercial lines, I'm not talking about the jewelry on the website that doesn't have a price. I'm talking about the jewelry lines such as the JUC, the Love collection, the Cactus, which is one of my personal favorites, and the Clash collection. They decided not to launch something new. That's very disappointing. They said they just wanted to focus on their classics. They've been doing a lot of refurbs around the world. They've been refurbishing their stores. And also last week, for those of you in the Caribbean, and also for those of you in the Caribbean and Latin America, they've actually made changes to their e-commerce site. So if you're in the West Indies, Jamaica, Barbados, Grenada, the Bahamas, Antigua, etc., you can actually order and it will deliver to your country. I saw this in my alerts and I was like, what are you people up to? What are you doing? This makes sense. It's in line with their current strategy. They just want to focus on basically squeezing as many sales as possible out of existing customers. So making tweaks to the e-commerce website, broadening it internationally, and really getting focused and ensuring that they're really getting their money's worth out of their current fans is what they're trying to do. This is not a bad thing, but what you're doing is you're not creating new products that can fuel future sales. Don't forget that they're selling to the super rich. The super rich have a lot of brands to choose from if they want to buy jewelry. I want to give you 2 examples that are competing with Cartier and VCA very aggressively. CHOPARD. CHOPARD is one of the final luxury maisons in the world to be owned by a private family. It's owned by a German family called the Schuffele family. Can't pronounce anything, I'm sorry. And they're crushing it. They're making hundreds of millions of euros a year in revenue. It's a very financially profitable company. They did a collaboration with Chloe Sevigny, who is a very famous actress from America. She was in this film called Boys Don't Cry with Hilary Swank. They made this bag with Chloe Sevigny. I'm obsessed with it. It's so cute and it was well priced. I saw it on Selfridges. I will link it in the description below. They are crushing it, and it kills me to say this because I love Cartier so much, but I actually do think that a CHOPARD make better handbags. I know, it's painful. The next brand that is really competing with Cartier and VCA is Bulgari. Let me tell you, Bulgari are coming for people's necks, okay? Bulgari have their hotels, they've got their absolutely stunning jewelry, their fine jewelry that they're promoting really hard, their bracelets, their rings, and they're working with celebrities. I think they had Zendaya, I think she did a campaign for them as well. Bulgari are coming for people's necks as well. There's a lot of competition in the world of fine jewelry. I know that for a lot of us on YouTube, you know, we're so focused on Cartier and VCA, and it's just not like that. CHOPARD have got some beautiful pieces. Bulgari are coming with the heat, okay? They're really making things happen. Their hotels have fantastic reviews around the world, and they're really putting a lot of money and investment into hotels. And at least before C19, it was absolutely paying off. I'm sure when things calm down, the Bulgari hotel will be back in business and, you know, and on and popping. There's also another house called Boucheron, another one of my personal favorites. There's a lot of competition in this space. If Cartier and VCA are not given, are not creating enough collections basically to compete, they're going to end up being forgotten. They must create more collections. I personally think that Cartier needs to be bringing out 3 collections a year, to be honest. I would like to see VCA bring out 2 new collections a year. So you're adding collections. 2 collections is a good place to begin. I know you're thinking 3, whoa, that's a lot. It's not really a lot. They could release something in January, they could release something in July, and then they could release something special for Christmas. They really need to be creating more collections so that we can see more of their jewelry. I was highly disappointed this year when they decided not to release anything new. I was so disappointed and I was crushed, to be honest, because I was really hoping that they would create some new stuff, more down the Cactus de Cartier, Clash de Cartier vein, and they opted not to. The working culture at Cartier, according to Miss Tweed, is said to be very aggressive, very cutthroat. So when I was reading her articles, I was like, wow, what does this remind me of? I was like, oh my gosh, it reminds me of Game of Thrones. It reminds me of how Game of Thrones was just cutthroat. Everyone's like fighting for their house. And that's literally how things are at Cartier, according to her and according to her sources. I'll link all of her articles in the description below so you can read them. And I think what this does is when you have a very cutthroat work environment, it can do 2 things. One, it can actually inspire people to do their best work because people feel like, whoa, it's really ruthless here. I think a good example of this is Netflix. Many people know about the Netflix culture. It's very ruthless. People are fired and sacked every single year. Now, I think that can work in a business environment, but I don't know if that can work in a fashion environment because I think that can actually create this culture where people can be bullied. So apparently the working culture at Cartier is very tough. The word toxic is thrown around a lot. I don't know, she never says it's toxic, but it does sound like it's a very grueling work culture. It doesn't really sound that they're that well paid. We're not talking about SAs here, we're talking about the people who work in the head office. It doesn't necessarily sound that they're that well paid per se, but I do think that the fact that the Cartier working culture is tough, it means that it doesn't really allow for creativity because people are obviously just focusing on their jobs, worrying about not being fired. She said how there are lots of like cliques within Cartier and it's very feudal, it's very tribal in an almost medieval way. It's very feudal. Everyone kind of looks after their own team. Everyone is like a direwolf protecting their own cubs, but frightened about kind of stepping out and talking to other people within the house. I can see why this kind of leads to things being slow and ideas being slow to get off the ground, and people are frightened to share ideas because obviously we're not really seeing anything new happen in the house, and that was obviously a top decision which has filtered through all the way down. A lot of the things that she was talking about are very, very juicy. I just wanted to add something which is my personal opinion. I think that approach that CHOPARD used, connecting with people who are very famous for whatever reason, doesn't necessarily need to be a mega celebrity. I think the days of mega celebrities are gone. But I do think working with someone who's different and unique, I do think that can actually really push things out there. I think that Cartier should work with someone like Thierry Mugler, John Galliano, Olivier Teskins. Someone who has that vision, that creativity. I'd love to see a collaboration like that. I think that would be beautiful, and I think that would drive a lot of interest in the brand. A great example of this is the Coach collaboration with the estate of Basquiat, who's a very famous artist from New York. That collection was wild. It was sold out. You cannot get it anywhere. I've never been a massive fan of Coach. And then I saw someone do a shopping vlog and I was like, I could see Basquiat's art. I was like, have they got permission from his estate? And I Googled it and yes, they did. So that was very, very successful. We need to see more of that. I would love to see Cartier doing that. According to Miss Tweed, Van Cleef and Arpels don't work with celebrities, but I don't think it matters. I think Van Cleef are doing fantastic, and I think that it's working out for them. Van Cleef is not like personally to my taste if it's the Alhambra, but I really do like the Perle Clover bracelet. I'll put it up here. This is one of my personal favorites. This one's £21,000. I love the Perle line, and that's more aligned to me. So with all of this stuff going on in the world of Richemont, their bonus scandals, okay, the tough working culture, allegedly, according to her articles, where does this leave the future of Cartier and Van Cleef and Arpels? I think basically what the situation that she was talking about is if the CEO of Van Cleef and Arpels is promoted, that will create a vacuum, and then someone will have to replace him. He has been the engine of so many fantastic ideas. If the CEO of Cartier is promoted, that will leave a vacuum. Apparently, there is a hesitancy to hire from the outside. It seems that Richemont is a very cliquish holding company. They don't necessarily want to hire people with new ideas and who can come in and infuse the holding company with a different way of working. And I think that is the problem. So the moral of the story of talking about Cartier and Van Cleef and Arpels is that it's really important, obviously, to, you know, be successful, create products that people want to buy, but you also need to have that business structure that lends itself to enduring success. Louis Cartier was born in 1875 in Paris, France, and his dream was to create a line of mechanical watches. Not only has that happened, I would say the Cartier watches are some of the most popular watches in the world. For stylistic reasons. I mean, the Panther watch is on my wish list. And, you know, his dream has been realized and even more. I mean, the house is phenomenally popular and it is a cash cow. It makes a ton of money for Richemont. Van Cleef and Arpels was born from love. I believe his name is Albert Van Cleef. He married this woman, I think her name was Estelle Arpels, something like that. They got married, and in 1906, the house was founded. I mean, it's just so romantic, and you can see the fun, kind of tender, dough-like designs that are a signature of the house, and it's like a symbol of that love and that romanticism. So, you know, for me, I'm just like, both of these houses are going to continue to be popular, but you can see from all the things I've shared with you in this video, if you don't have the right business executives, okay, like steering the ship while the creative people are designing, things can fall apart. I would like to see Cartier and VCA. Essentially, this is what I would like to see happen. I think this is what they should do, Richemont. Cartier and VCA should be spun off into their own organization, and they should be taken out of Richemont. The reason why they're still staying in Richemont is because they're protecting the other brands that aren't doing as well. That is what I'd like to see. And then I'd like to see Alaïa, Chloe, and the other brands given more attention, and Montblanc as well, and they need to kind of be given their own attention. It should basically be like a holding company with two separate entities, Cartier and VCA, and then the other brands, so that they can also get the attention that they deserve as well. You know, in Game of Thrones, we see, you know, particularly for those of you who are familiar with the show, even though it ended terribly, we see like Jon Snow's journey. But with Richemont, we don't really see a singular person or a singular house's journey. We see many houses and their journeys. And what I would like to see is each house be as successful as Cartier and VCA without threatening Cartier and VCA. And I think another fantastic example of the way Cartier and VCA are kind of in a very strange situation for their future is, for example, look at the Perle Clover bracelet, which I love, from VCA, as I just mentioned. Now, compare it with the Cartier Love bracelet that is fully paved with diamonds. Do you see the similarities there a little bit? Both of the houses are actually competitors, but they're sister brands at the same time. That's a fundamental tussle where you have things going different ways. So how do you protect both of the brands make them compete against each other, but make them make a ton of money for the holding company together. I think that is at the core of why Richemont is having all of this inner turmoil, because they're trying to find a way to make Cartier successful, to make VCA successful. They're both very successful, by the way, continue to make them successful, but also they want to protect these other brands as well. And don't get it twisted. Panerai, Jaeger-LeCoultre, IWC, Vacheron Constantin are very successful watch brands, and they're making money for Richemont. I think that Richemont need to learn how to manage multiple brands. And if you can't, you have to let the other brands go so they can have their chance to be successful. Chloe is a storied brand, but it's been mismanaged. I don't think that Richemont know how to manage it. The designer left last year. Her designs were not working. I don't think it was working out. So I'm glad that she's gone and they, gave her the boot and it was time for her to leave. But I would like to see better management for Richemont, and I would also like to see more collections from VCA and Cartier, and I would like to see different kind of designs from VCA as well, not just fairies. I'd like to see edgier collections from VCA. VCA don't like working with celebrities, as I've said. They've never paid an influencer or a celebrity in their life. Cartier love working with celebrities. If you're going to work with celebrities, please choose some edgy ones. I don't necessarily need to see a bunch of young Netflix celebrities in Cartier's print or website. I would like to see some edgy collections. What about Cartier and Thierry Mugler, as I said? Cartier and Jean-Paul Gaultier. Let's try something different. Let's try something new. I would love to know what you think of everything that I shared with you guys. What do you think of Cartier's bonus gate scandal? What do you think of VCA and Cartier in general? Which house do you prefer? Obviously, you know the one that I prefer. I think you already know the answer. It's Cartier, duh, hello. But I'd love to know the one that you prefer as well. Which ones are you going to be buying from? As I said, do all of these things kind of affect you? I don't really feel like they affect shoppers totally, but I do think that they will affect your choices of what you can buy at the houses, just because they're not creating new collections, and that is a massive bone of contention for me. If you have liked this video, please make sure that you like it, obviously, give it a thumbs up, comment and subscribe, share this video with anyone who you think will like it. I think at the end of the day, Richemont is like Game of Thrones, except there isn't one throne, there are two thrones, and we're trying to figure out who is going to come out on top between Cartier and Van Cleef and Arpels. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.